All right, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Edge podcast, college football podcast. I'm Pez Gordo, and I am once again joined by Go Sooners, and we are going to do the Big Ten West today. How you doing, GS?
Doing great. Can't complain at all. Ready for some football, man. We're
Yeah,
only
some real
5 days
games
away.
this Saturday.
5 days, and we're there finally.
It's gonna be fun. Gonna be fun. So, as usual, let's just jump right in here, and we'll hit the Big Ten West, and I'll start it off with go down alphabetically. We'd start with the Fighting Illini, Lovie Smith. The current over/under is 4.5 wins. Now, believe this or not, about 2 months ago, I hit this when it came out at 3. I had to pay a lot of juice, like minus 190. But, I mean, I looked at their schedule, and if they can't come up with 4 wins from that schedule, Lovey's not going to have a job after this year. What do you think of the Illini?
Yeah, I hit it too. I thought, gosh, dang, that's awful low for that team that's returning 17 starters. Yeah, and I think maybe the player that might be able to get them over the hump a little bit is Brandon Peters, bringing in him. So, yeah, I'm kind of liking it. The only thing that scares me is, after the first 3 games, things get considerably tougher. I think they can probably knock off Rutgers. I think that's probably they're not a given, but I think they got a really good chance of knocking off Rutgers. But they absolutely have to win those first 3 games, to have a chance, I think. If they lose one of those first 3 games, I don't know if they can get 4. I really don't. Right now, they're sitting at 4.5. Gosh, dang. That's a tough total right now. I'd hate to recommend either side on that total right now, but it's like you said, if Lovey doesn't get, he's going to have to get to 5 wins, and I'm not even sure 5 wins is going to be enough for those fans. But with what he's got back, see, they had the offense last year really to, make a bowl game. It's the defense that was absolutely awful. If they show an improvement with those 10 starters back, I think they possibly can top out at 5 wins. I don't really see them going to a bowl because the problem with Illinois this year is the rest of the conference, the rest of their division's improved, and that makes it doubly tough.
Yeah, I'm with you. Going down that list, Rutgers, I looked at that as their potential fourth win. Now last year they beat Minnesota, which was kind of a big surprise. They have a good running game, good offensive line, so they've got the offense, like you said. It's just all comes down to the defense. And you look at this schedule, and other than those 4 games that we talked about, the first 3 in Rutgers, I mean, Michigan at home, Wisconsin at home, at Michigan State, at Iowa. I mean, maybe Northwestern, maybe at Purdue, potential wins.
Possibly Northwestern, because Northwestern's they have a habit of playing close games with shitty teams. But they're going to have – I'll tell you the one game I'm kind of worried about as far as playing the over on that would be at Connecticut. They're going to – I know Connecticut's bad, but they're going to have to knock them off on the road. And that could be a very close game.
Man, if they lose to Connecticut, they're in trouble. That's going to be sad.
Yeah. It may be hard hitting the 3 after that, So.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But I do like that early bet we made on that. It looks really good right now.
Yeah, so I kind of agree with you. At 4.5, I'd just make this a no play, unless you can find them upsetting somebody, because they're going to be dogs in every single Big Ten game except Rutgers.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
All right, let's move on to the Iowa Hawkeyes. 7.5 is the over under. They got a lot of production returning on offense. I mean, they have to replace the two tight ends who are both went to the NFL, but you got the QB coming back. Um, but the thing is, they got a pretty tough road schedule. I looked at that road schedule and it looks pretty tough. They got some really tough games, and most of their games. I mean, that's why it's 7.5 with all this experience returning.
Yeah, I agree. The experience is good. I mean, the nucleus of the team is good, but that schedule is brutal, man. And what may decide on that over under? Something tells me what's going to decide on that over under is that Iowa game early in the season. If they lose that game, I don't think they go over 7.5. They had, Iowa. Iowa had a few things go their way last year, and they were like +8 in turnover margin. Now it's not easy to repeat a season like that. So, and plus they were really good against the spread, which makes me not like them that much this year with a tougher schedule. So they won eight regular season games last year with an easier schedule. Now they have a tougher schedule. They have just 10 starters back, 4 on defense. And can they get that +8 to the turnover margin again to get them one or two more victories? Right now, I'm kind of doubting it. I think it could happen, but I'm kind of doubting it. It is very close between them and Wisconsin and Nebraska, but I think the teams out of that conference, out of that division, that's going to be on top. So ones with the easiest schedule and the ones that stays healthy. Otherwise, I think those three teams are pretty even.
Yeah, I mean, the Iowa the running game wasn't too good last year. I mean, they were like the ninth worst in the country in efficiency, and 99th in explosive offense last year. So they're just a kind of grinded out ball club, and I just don't see much value trying to go over on this one. And they might get to 8 wins, they might only get to 7. I just don't like this total.
It's a tough one to predict. Everything's going to have to go their way, and like I said, we don't know what's going to happen with the Iowa State game. That's going to be a huge game as far as that total goes. I just don't think that they can get eight conference wins if they lose to Iowa and go over that. I don't think they can do it. They're not that kind of explosive team to be able to do that. I would be leaning if I had a gun to my head, I would lean to the under, but I'm like you. I think it's kind of a toss up with that team. They're probably the hardest to read team in the conference. Them and Wisconsin.
All right, let's move on to the Gophers. Minnesota, the season win total on this one's 7.5. You know, everything I'm reading, and you and I, over the last several months, we've been reading a ton of information. Everybody likes the Gophers this year. I mean, my projections have them coming in a little short of that 7.5. I got them coming in about 7 wins. They got solid skill position players on the offense. They were really young last year, so they're gonna have a lot more experience on both sides of the ball. Um, but I don't know. 7.5 wins. What do you think of PJ Flex Ball Club up there?
Yeah, that's pretty close too. The only problem I have with Minnesota is they're kind of in the same boat as Purdue and Illinois. you feel like they're going to be pretty damn good, but the division has gotten better this year, and that's the problem with them. And the rest of the division recruits better than they do.
Right.
That's another problem. And so, what's their limit? What's Minnesota's plateau? I I think it's probably at the most 8 games. I don't. I just don't see. I just don't see Fleck and that team going to the Big Ten championship game. I just feel like Wisconsin and Nebraska are better teams with better athletes, and for that sake, for that Iowa too, for that matter. So I would put them a notch below. Now, if any of these teams, start getting injured and quarterbacks get hurt or go down or something, that might change things. But I mean, Minnesota, they were a little bit lucky at the end of the year last year. They when they faced Wisconsin, to become bowl eligible. Wisconsin is banged up in that game, and they won that one. That was a big win for them. But I don't know. Don't you think PJ Fleck's kind of a little hokey? I just don't feel like he's the same. He's in the same category as Brom or Frost or those guys. I may be wrong. I mean, his row your boat thing maybe maybe the real deal, but I just don't feel like you need a saying in college football to get your team going. It's not like they're high school kids or anything. So I don't know. I may be totally wrong about him, but I just feel like Frost and Brom have teams that are on the rise and going to overtake them.
Yeah, the one thing, if you like the Gophers, the one thing that they have going for them this year is the schedule. It's not that tough. They got South Dakota State, Georgia Southern, and at Fresno State out of conference. Now, Fresno State's a pretty good ball club, but they lost a lot of production. So Minnesota might be able to head out west and win that one.
I think it's a little tougher. I think it's a little tougher than it looks. I really do. I think those last 4 games are very losable because they're all together.
Yeah, they definitely
Penn State, Iowa, Northwestern, Wisconsin.
Yeah. I mean, you'd almost have to go over before that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They'd almost have to be 8-0 because, like you said,
that's right.
Those 4 games are going to be tough.
That schedule is deceiving.
Is they missed the 3 toughest D's in the big out of the Big Ten because their crossover games, they miss Michigan State, and Ohio State, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean that part of it's good. Yes, it's their own division that I have a problem with the way they're set up with their own division plus Penn State on that one game. There's no, it's all together. There's no bye weeks for that. So it may depend on how well they come out of their 8th game, how healthy they are. I don't think they have a lot of depth, so that's the problem with them too. So, man, I'll tell you, that's another tough one, but I would almost be tempted to take the under on that.
Yeah, despite the schedule, I'm with you. Under.
I'd probably kick myself at the end of the year for doing it, but somebody's going to lose. Somebody's got to. I don't think they're all going to go 8-4. Somebody's going to have to. Somebody's going to have to bite the bullet on that.
All right. Well, speaking of Scott Frost, let's head on over to Lincoln and tell me what you think about the Nebraska Cornhuskers this year. Their season win total is 8.5. And before you tell me what you think, I'll just give you a quick idea of what I'm thinking. I mean, last year this was one of my big unders that I won, and of course, I wasn't paid because of the schedule change, so they just canceled the bet. But I think they're overrated again. I mean, I know they're going to be improved, but to win this total, which is 8.5, they're going to have to go from 4 wins last year to 9 wins this year for you to cash this ticket. And like you said, they're in a really